back to another Couch Potato General Manager video. Guys, we have a mock draft reaction, a 2022 NFL mock draft reaction for you, courtesy of Couch Potato General Manager. The mock draft that we'll actually be reviewing and reacting to was written by NFL draft writer Josh Edwards of CBS Sports.com. Joe and I will be reacting to the picks that he made, his first round mock draft. He actually did it on the 8th, all right? As of the day that we're actually recording here, about 3 hours later. We're going to give our instant reaction in terms of the selections that he makes for the first 32 picks of the 2022 NFL Draft. While you're at it, guys, please like, comment below, and subscribe. All right, Drew, get it started. What we're starting to see now as a calendar turn from 2021 to 2022 is more and more NFL draft writers, evaluators, prognosticators thinking that the Jaguars should probably go the direction of an offensive lineman at the top of the draft. And in Josh Edwards' mock draft, he has the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Evan Neal, offensive tackle from Alabama, first overall. Your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I'm not hating it. You know what I mean? I think I spoke in my previous draft talking about Evan Neal. He may be the first tackle off the board. In my mock, he was not. But hey, offensive lineman, I think that's the way to go. Obviously, you have the two top edge players out there in Hutchinson and Thibodeau.
Yep.
But you know, you can't go wrong with protecting the quarterback, because at the end of the day, that's the guy that's going to be leading the charge. You can't score points, you can't win. Defense can do so much. You know what I'm saying? They've essentially kind of neutered the defense a little bit. You know what I'm saying? In the past couple of years, so it's a different league and it's about points.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. You know what I mean? You mentioned it, that the way the league is designed, the rules favor the offense. And while I do still firmly maintain that to win championships, you got to play good defense. Yeah. But in order to get into the playoffs, in order to get through what is now an 18-week season and give yourself an opportunity to actually get in the tournament and win, get on a hot streak, be playing your best football and make it to the Super Bowl, you're gonna have to score points. There are gonna be weeks where your defense just ain't got it, man.
Right.
Just you know what I'm saying? They just don't show up, for one reason or another. Sometimes it's the referee. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying, just the opposition just gets your number. Whatever the case may be, it's very, very hard to play defense in the league these days, to your point. So absolutely. And it goes a long way in terms of protecting your franchise. I mean, this has been a rough rookie campaign, and generally it is for the first overall selection. But there are a lot of question marks with respect to this team. Of course, they're going to be looking for a head coach here. Black Friday is coming soon, or rather Black Monday is right around the corner here. We'll see where the chips fall. No, please no. Please, no. I mean,
those uninitiated, Bill O'Brien, interviewing him. Why we don't know.
Yes, there's a lot of frustration with the fact that Shah Khan apparently is going to retain Trent Baalke as the GM. There's obviously a lot of angst about that. Kellen Moore is in the conversation, and while Kellen Moore has demonstrated some innovation in terms of being a play caller in Dallas, he is very inexperienced himself. Leftwich, obviously a former Jaguar, he's part of the conversation as well. I take a good hard look at Leftwich. He certainly would be my choice among those two. But there's a culture shift that needs to take place in Jacksonville. And to your point, in terms of on the field, you get a player that's buttoned up like Evan Neal, who doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? We could talk about guys maybe having more upside than him potentially. But when you talk about just a safe floor, a guy that we anticipate will be a plug-and-play starter for a decade, that is what Evan Neal brings to the table. He has that kind of pedigree associated with him. Second overall pick, the Detroit Lions, Josh Edwards has a Detroit Lions selecting Aiden Hutchinson, the edge rusher from Michigan. Now, it certainly makes sense to me to go edge rusher here because, again, we're talking about, best players available. The question then becomes Thibodeau or Hutchinson. Part of the allure associated with Hutchinson is the fact that he is local. He's a local guy. He plays his college football at Michigan, right? Obviously, Detroit, Michigan. And then I think Thibodeau has been out of sight, out of mind for a while because of the injury, because of the way Oregon's season kind of ended. I think he's just kind of been out of sight, out of mind. So Hutchinson obviously was playing great ball. He was a huge difference maker for the Wolverines this past year. There may be some who were going to knock him for the Orange Bowl performance. Georgia did a really great job of neutralizing him, by chipping him, by throwing a tight end at him, by changing up the formations. I thought they had an excellent game plan for him. And there'll be detractors who say, he didn't show up in the biggest game of the season. I really think Georgia went out of their way to neutralize him. Now, of course, Hutchinson will then have to go back to the tape because teams, if if he demonstrates that he can beat those guys one-on-one, that's what teams are going to do. You know, they're going to slide the protection to him. They're going to chip him. They're going to do different things. So he's going to have to figure that out. The fact that he's commanding so much attention speaks to, obviously, his ability.
Right. No, I mean, you hit everything right on the head, man. Local product, you know what I'm saying? Let's just make this simple and easy. They're going to have all the tape and every note that they could have because he's right there in the backyard. Just to step out, you can see him, right? So it makes sense. Makes too much sense, actually. But you know how I feel about the two. It doesn't matter. And by the way, he matches the lunch pail. What is it? Hard hat lunch pail with Dan Campbell.
Yes, the biting of the kneecaps. With the third overall pick, Josh Edwards has Thibodeau going to the Houston Texans here. Again, I think this is just simply a team that has a dearth of talent in certain areas of their roster, and you pick the best player available.
Obviously, maybe some are screaming quarterback, but you know, hey, best player available. I don't think it matters. This team has a ways to go, if you will. So there's no rush with what they're trying to do over there. Let's build it up.
All right, with the fourth pick, Josh Edwards of CBS Sports NFL Draft Writer has the New York Jets. Again, this is one of 2 first-round picks that they have, selecting Derek Stingley at corner. Now, Drew, in your mock draft, you also had the Jets selecting corner in this fourth hole here, but of course, you didn't go Stingley. You went a different direction. What do you think about this? Now, you know, we had our conversation, and I kind of want to revisit that, right? We know the pedigree that Stingley has. We know that he has all the tools, all the talent in the world. There just seems to be something missing. What do you consider might be missing?
Oh man, for me, it's and you know, hit me down in the comment section if y'all disagree, agree, whatever. For him, it's just I'm so good that I just lose interest. You know, because even when I first started to watch him, I said there's just something off. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm gonna put it on that for now until I figure it out. And maybe he can prove me wrong, but you know, it's just I don't know, man. Like there's nothing that he can't do as far as I can see and tell. But is something off? I'm just telling you. I don't know what it is.
It's almost like the Greedy Williams situation, right? Yeah. But Stingley obviously is held in higher regard. I mean, don't get me wrong. Greedy was really ballyhooed as well, but of course injury and that kind of pushed him out of the first round. But Stingley's been the man since he got on campus. Play this season because of an injury, and you know, I mean, let's face it. You know, a lot of evaluators don't care. They've seen enough from Derek Stingley to warrant this selection. I just in what I think is a very good cornerback class, right? In terms of the guys that we kind of projecting as first round talents that grade out as first round prospects. I think there's a potential to go in a different direction, but assuming Stingley, you know, lives up to and is engaged the way we think he should be snap in and snap out, I think this is a home run pick under those circumstances. And to Josh Edwards' point, he allows, you know, some of that depth that they acquired this past draft class and got some you know, necessary snaps. Of course, they weren't always great, you know, reps, but certainly getting that experience and getting their feet wet will kind of shift the responsibility. But of course, now they have that experience and can be moved into more of a situational type of role, a sub-package type of role. You understand what I'm saying? So certainly understand the pick at number 4 with Derek Stingley. With the 5th overall pick, Josh Edwards has the New York Giants selecting George Karlaftis, the edge from Purdue. Now, you also, since November, mind you, I want to make sure the audience understands this. You have been calling for George Karlaftis to the Giants since November, and in your most recent mock draft at the 5 hole with Karlaftis. Now, there are people out there who don't necessarily think Karlaftis belongs in the top 10, let alone the top 5. Your thoughts with respect to this? Yeah,
man, I need you to go watch the tape. I mean, just go watch the tape, man. You know, he's not quite the explosive player that Thibodeau is, and he's not quite the technician that Hutchinson is, but he's got power for days. He can play inside, he can play outside. He does have some great hands. You can give him that. And he's versatile, man. And anytime you can grab a player that's versatile in any position, you know what I'm saying, especially on the defensive line, man, that adds to his attributes and his ability to skyrocket up the board and for you to play him. And he allows you to put the best players available, whether, and you know, obviously playing up front 4. So it allows you to play your best front 7. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Whatever that is, and it could be situational ball. You know what I mean? In terms of those other players, in terms of where you want them. So I like the pick. I like the pick. I like the fit. I know you feel, they probably should be going elsewhere, but hey.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I don't have an issue with the player at all. I just think there are other areas of this team that need to be prioritized, and namely the quarterback position. Dave Gettleman will be retiring. Do you really want to hitch your wagon to Daniel Jones? You know what I'm saying? A guy that has struggled to stay healthy, a guy who's struggled to protect the football. You got some question marks along your offensive line. There's a lot of good players, towards the top of this draft that could come in and help that group immediately. There's going to be some turnover in terms of free agents as well. So I just think you need a quarterback. You need to be able to protect them. We talked about it at the top here of this draft. You got to score some points. We think the Giants defense is further along, and you can never have enough pass rushes, don't get me wrong. But I think there's some areas that require a little bit more immediate attention. Not that they can't stand to obviously get better in terms of their pass rush. All right. Moving right along with the 6th overall pick. The Panthers are selecting Ikem Ekwonu.
Same thought process in terms of the Jaguars. You got to protect your franchise. Obviously, we're not sure who that franchise will be. Is Cam coming back? Probably not. It's kind of hinting at maybe retiring, not sure. And they have Sam Darnold, Sammy the Savior. I think they have 1 year left on his contract, or
they picked up his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
They picked up his well, they did that when they traded for him. So they basically Matt Rule tethered himself to Sam Darnold. And I think it's going to ultimately get him fired, to be honest with you.
The crazy part is weren't they in the quarterback market trying to get a Deshaun Watson, or
they were
trade talks and different things, and trying to trade up in the draft last year and all that stuff. So who knows if this is going to be the case? But you got to protect your franchise, whoever that is at the moment. It's Sam Darnold, and people can say what they want about Sam Darnold. He played well for a little while, and then he just fell off. And a big part of that is because they, lost Christian McCaffrey, couldn't open holes. It didn't matter who they really had back there. Couldn't run the football, couldn't get pushed from the line, and they couldn't protect. So again, it goes back to, it doesn't matter who you have back there. If you can't protect, you can't play in this league. You can't score, you can't win. Plain and simple.
I'm with you there.
And for me, this is my number one offensive lineman at the number one offensive tackle at the moment. And listen, he's. I just go watch the tape, man, because he's another guy that he makes watching offensive line. He makes it fun, man, because he's a bully.
Yeah, body bagging.
Body bagging.
Yeah, definitely. Just to kind of wrap up the point with respect to the Panthers, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I thought, if you weren't going to go Justin Fields, perhaps Mac Jones last year, Rashawn Slater was staring you there in the face. And I don't think, it is close because Penei Sewell has played very well over the last several months. But Slater, you had 2 cornerstones there. Sewell obviously was already off the board, but Slater was a guy that I thought, you could plug in and, again, forget about it. And then, of course, this year, assuming you didn't necessarily go ahead and exercise Darnold's 5th-year option, you could have gone quarterback this year. You could have, based on this mock, you'd have your pick of the litter. You know what I mean? So we'll see ultimately what happens with respect to that. But certainly, if you're not selecting a quarterback, I agree with the notion of improving your offensive line. That needs to get done without question. 7th overall pick, the Jets, with their 2nd first-round pick. Our friend Josh Edwards here has them selecting Jameson Williams, receiver from Alabama. Now, of course, there's been a meteoric rise from Williams, the transfer from Ohio State. You can see it on tape, the blistering speed. I mean, he really put some defenses in a bind. But for my money, I think this is a little early. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. When I saw it, I had to scroll. I was like, wait, what? And then I checked all the picks before him because I'm like, did I miss a receiver? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't see him being the first. Never mind going this high, but the first receiver off the board, right? And this might be some recency bias. It might be that's his guy, right? Sometimes that's just what it is when you're doing a mock.
Sure.
This is my guy. This is where he's going. This is where I think he should go. Which I'm not hating if that's what you're saying. Not hating it. But yeah, I don't like it because you're talking about passing up the 2 Ohio State receivers. And to me, those are the guys. Those are the guys that would match this team well. I like the skill set from Williams. But I don't. If you're gonna grab him, I think you trade down. But this obviously spot's not set up for that. So
sure.
But again, you'll have your pick of the litter in terms of those receivers, and I just don't think that he's that top receiver. I don't know that he's as reliable as the other two, right? So. And again, he's coming from Ohio State, so he was getting coached by wide receiver U.
That's true.
At some point.
That's true.
So
that's a good point. I'm of the mindset that they certainly have that need at corner. There's no question about that. I think yes, you can never have enough weapons. You can never have enough guys. Certainly a guy who can stretch the field quite like that. I don't know that the battery of Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios, who's obviously, exploded here towards the end of the season, that they're working on the extension with him, because he's an effective slot. You know what I mean? This is something that needs to be done, unless, of course, you're high on him in terms of your board overall. You know what I mean? I also have a feeling, in terms of the New York teams, I think they all need to address their offensive line. And of course, they've done that over the last couple of drafts, right? They obviously got Becton. Of course, he went down to injury, unfortunately. You get him back. Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be very good, right? He's going to continue to get better. We can grab a Charles Cross and we can call it a day. We can call it a day. You understand what I'm saying? Again, the group, the position group has to be strong. It's okay to have one or two guys that are, that you can count on, but I need that group to be a position of strength personally. And with the depth at receiver, I'm more inclined to go a different direction. But certainly understand the allure of Jameson Williams, because I don't know that anybody stretches the field quite like he does in this class. You know what I'm saying? Like there is blistering speed. I mean, I'm talking about eating up the cushion and killing angles. You know what I'm saying? And I certainly, like I said, I certainly understand. You want to put your young quarterback in a position where you can get the ball to anybody on the field and they can make a play. But you got to keep him upright as well, and you got to continue to open up rushing lanes for the Michael Carters of the world.
And I'll say this, obviously Bucs fan watching the game last week, when Zach Wilson had time, I mean, he was getting them boys, you know what I mean? And they were able to run the football on the Bucs. That's not something that you would have expected. But the week before, they ran for 270-something yards against whoever they played the week before. So I think they have the formula. But again, the times where things went awry in that game is when they couldn't protect.
They couldn't hold up. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't get their 4 or 5 yard runs. You know what I'm saying? So I think offensive line actually may be the best route here. I didn't do it in my mock, so I'm a hypocrite.
Sure.
But
yeah,
call me. You know what I mean? But it's after the fact. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, offensive line, yeah, I'm probably right there with you.
Gotcha. With the 8th overall pick, the New York Giants, the pick that they get from the Chicago Bears, Josh Edwards have them selecting Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame, and obviously Kyle Hamilton is a special talent. There does appear to be a need also in New York, with Jabril Peppers potentially going into free agency here as his contract expires, but nothing against the player. Kyle Hamilton he's likely going to be a star. He's likely going to be a star. But to have 2 top 10 picks and not come away with a quarterback, right? Improve your offensive line or additional draft picks to give you a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. And like I said, between Karlaftis and Hamilton, I mean, those are excellent players. It's hard to disagree with the talent associated with the players. But again, I'll reiterate it once more. At the top of this video, we talked about it. In order to get through an 18-week season and put yourself in a position to be able to let your defense take control of games when the weather changes in January, and hopefully in February. You understand what I'm saying? You got to score points, man. You got to score points. You put the number 2 overall pick, you invested it in a running back. Okay?
Get on, man.
You better be able to control the line of scrimmage. You better be able to control the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm like I said, nothing against the player, but I'm not a big fan of these the pair of picks. Go Karlaftis 5, okay. Make sure you address the offensive line. Make sure you go get a signal caller with the 8th pick. Vice versa. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my thought process there.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of the. I like the talent. Not necessarily that I like the pick here. And then Giants fans, let me know down in the comment section, what is the exact, because I'm not sure the exact scheme that the Giants run. I know that they don't want things to go over.
You want to keep everything in front of them. Yeah.
In front of them, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, that tells me that they're not too, they don't play Legos. You know what I'm saying? They're not disguising anything too much. They kind of, what's coming. It's just, can you beat that, right? And that tells me that they don't move people around. So what does that tell me? I don't know that I want Kyle Hamilton going to a defense that don't move those pieces around, because to me he's a moving piece, right?
Sure.
He's a part of the board.
Right.
Let's move him around. You know what I mean? So he can go. He should be going.
He's a bishop. He's a bishop. He's a not.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to draft him just to play a single high or just play too high, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's just,
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Like I said, you're looking at it through the prism of the schematic fit. I'm looking at it. Okay, you got 2 top 10 picks, and you haven't addressed really the bane of your existence. The last several seasons.
We're about to have rinse and repeat. Your defense is going to be a little bit better, but it's going to be rinse and repeat on the offense. Just bang your head against the wall.
Yeah. With the 9th overall pick, the Washington football team is selecting Matt Corral, first quarterback off the board. I'm going to let you have this one. Yeah. I know you're a Taylor Heineke guy, so I'm going to let you have this one.
Yeah, no, I think this pick is one of those we've seen the ceiling of Taylor Heineke, right? And we need something with a little bit more sauce, a little bit more spice, a little bit more flash, a little bit more dash, and a little bit more talent. And Corral has that. I think he's a little bit of a smaller player. You know what I'm saying?
Slider in frame.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, that stuff doesn't hit me as hard as it hit other people in terms of just playing football. If you can play ball, bro, and you're not injury prone, I don't have an issue with it. You know what I'm saying? If that's your body type, cool. You know what I'm saying? We'll deal with it on the back end. But if you're gonna get a Corral, bro, trade down, right? And he was supposed to go to the Senior Bowl, and he got injured in the bowl game. Not sure what's going on there. So this is assuming obviously everything is good, right? Sure. Going 10th overall. But I think you're gonna be able to trade down, unless Corral blows, unless something happens to where some reports come out that make him, skyrocket up the board. You trade down in this pick. If that's your guy, just trade down a couple spots, pick up some picks, and then scoop them. Yeah,
I tend to, at this juncture in my evaluation, I like the idea of going quarterback here. If I'm Ron Rivera, and I'm anticipating getting him Chase Young healthy back, and guys, some of those young players taking another step forward, of course, having the opportunity in free agency. I want, again, we're talking about this. Of course, this is a very, very defense-laden draft, but also there's quite a bit of offensive talent. I think, this time last year when we were thinking about, okay, this next upcoming class, the 2022 class, I don't know that we gave this particular class enough credit in terms of what they have to offer from an offensive side of the ball. Now, debate now centered around, we're gonna compare this quarterback class to last year's quarterback class, and the prevailing belief currently is that this class doesn't quite stack up. So I am certainly okay with the idea of going to go get a quarterback here for the Washington football team. Not sure I would go Corral as the first quarterback off the board, though. Speaking of quarterback, the 10th overall pick, Atlanta Falcons. Josh Edwards has them selecting Kenny Pickett.
This is who they should have got, because we know Washington was in the mix to get Justin Fields, if I remember correctly. Hit me down in the comment section. But we have the Falcons taking them. And listen, I am absolutely okay with this. But what are you doing with Matt Ryan? Is Kenny Pickett sitting?
Either Kenny Pickett sits, or they have to move Matt Ryan, and I'm not sure. I think there'll be a market for Matt Ryan. I'll be honest.
I think so.
I think there'll be a market, but the Falcons may have to eat some of that.
Oh, they definitely
might have to eat some of that salary, but I do think there'll be a market for Matt Ryan. So certainly, if you're ready to turn the page, I'm okay with Kenny Pickett here. I'm not opposed to Malik Willis necessarily. Obviously, like I said, still in the process of evaluating these quarterbacks, but certainly in terms of going quarterback, I thought it may have been appropriate to do it last year. They could not pass up the allure of Kyle Pitts. You know what I'm saying? The very, very unique skill set that he presents at the tight end position. But if you didn't get one of those quarterbacks last year, you definitely need to come out of this one with the guy that you plan to be your franchise guy moving forward. All right, with the 11th pick, the Broncos are on the clock, and Joshua Edwards of CBS, NFL Draft Writer, has them selecting Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd is your first linebacker off the board. Devin Lloyd of Utah. Your thoughts on this pick?
Yeah, man. I guess this means that they rolling with Teddy or Drew Lock or
they're
Trevor
going
Siemian. No,
or they're going the veteran route.
They're going the veteran route. This could be Matt Ryan.
Sure.
This could be Aaron Rodgers. This could be Russell Wilson. Okay, so let's go ahead and shore up the second level. They have good, solid players at the second level. Guys can't stay healthy though for whatever reason. Like none of their linebacking core, just in general, can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this is a guy with extreme upside, a guy with extreme talent, new age. I always say the new age linebacker. He is that. He's the prototype of that. And I'm not hating the pick.
To your point, I do think Denver has a quality linebacking core. But of course, they just have struggled to stay healthy. Johnson and Josie Jewell, obviously, they're better coming downhill as opposed to in coverage. I think Devin Lloyd gives you the best of both worlds. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are good quality football players, but there were a couple of times where the opposition they attacked the second level of the Broncos defense via their running backs in the passing game, and it was a difference. You could see a stark difference in their ability to hold up in that facet of the game. Devin Lloyd buttons that up, certainly, for the Broncos. With the 12th pick in the 2022 NFL mock draft, courtesy of Josh Edwards of CBS Sports, we have Ahmad Gardner. Of course, I think to a man, everybody agrees the Vikings need to improve on the back end. They need to get that cornerback position right. It's just a matter of who's going to land there. In this case, he has Sauce Gardner as the second corner off the board. Your thoughts?
Extremely productive. Some would say he's the best corner in the draft. Arguably, I'll argue with you a little bit, but I'm not going to hate on the pick. It's a need. This is one of those where need fits. Need fits. Best player available, arguably fits, and you do the right thing because these guys have gone through like 6-8 corners in the past 4 years. Like it's crazy. Like they've drafted every year a corner, and it's trying to figure it out, and you figure they might figure it out with Zimmer, and they haven't figured it out with Zimmer. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure what's going on there, but it doesn't matter who Gardner goes to. He's gonna. Man's a baller. He has the speed, has the size, has the swag, as we like to call, has the technique. I might be a little too aggressive, but I'll take that every day, all day with my corners. So hey, I like the pick.
Yeah, man. This one, Josh, we're in full agreement with you here. We're in full agreement with you here in terms of both player and position. 13th pick, Cleveland Browns. This is one that we've seen a couple of times. I think you've had him here in your mock on several occasions as well. Garrett Wilson, receiver from Ohio State, landed in Cleveland. Of course, OBJ is now in Los Angeles. Jarvis Landry might be hitting free agency. Donovan Peoples-Jones had an opportunity to really kind of cement himself in that receiving hierarchy in Cleveland, but he's more of a complimentary guy. I think he's more of a secondary, tertiary option in the passing game, and he's fine at that. I think that works just fine for him, but they need a go-to guy, and I certainly believe Garrett Wilson can be that guy. I think Garrett Wilson, while he doesn't necessarily have the prototypical frame, I think he does everything at a very high level. And then when we talk about at the catch point and after the catch, I think that's where he starts to get special. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, there's a lot of question marks right now in Cleveland in terms of the quarterback, but they're tethered to Baker Mayfield for at least one more year, as far as I'm concerned. So, this player can go a long way to helping a healthy Baker Mayfield in that passing offense in Cleveland.
Yeah, they need a reliability in terms of a guy who's going to be on the field healthy and ready to go, and a guy who can get open and then do things after the catch. I think that's something that they're missing. And listen, like you said, they're tethered to Baker Mayfield. You want to be able to, if you draft a guy, a quarterback, you want to be able to call him your franchise. You want to be able to give him every chance before you say, hey, this ain't working out, right?
Right.
So they have the offensive line, they have the run game, and we just got to add a couple more weapons. We had some weapons, but, some of those things just didn't work out for whatever reason, right? And so let's bring in a guy who's about that work from wide receiver U. And listen, I don't know that I can see a scenario where they don't go receiver, because this is a team that's they're kind of loaded everywhere else. It's like, you just got to put it together. And outside of the quarterback position, people, I don't know if that's, that might be the issue, but I also know the issue is the receiver position. He can't do it by himself. And Baker Mayfield is a timing and rhythm player. Some people picture him as a sandlot football playing quarterback. That's not what he is. He has that element that he can do that, but that's not his thing. He needs to be able to drop back, 3-step drop, get it out. 5-step drop, get it out. 7-step drop, get it out. That's his thing, right? That's when he's at his best. And Garrett Wilson can do that. And then after he makes the catch, he can do some more damage, right? So
not unlike the Sauce Gardner pick, I think this is match made in heaven. With the 14th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles making their first pick of 3, Josh Edwards has them selecting Tyler Linderbaum. And I thought this is where things got really interesting. Linderbaum, while there is some position flexibility, I think his home is center ultimately. What do you think about this pick?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Are you playing him center? Are you playing him guard? Because Philly has one of the better offensive lines. Some have said it's the best offensive line in the league. You know, we can discuss that. But I don't like. How do you? And I know this man's a baller. He's a baller. I get it. But I just don't know about this because that defense needs help. The defensive side needs help, and you've kind of punted on that right here. And you said we're going to show up. I don't like it.
Well, here's my thought process with that. Again, keeping the same sentiment throughout this particular mock draft reaction. There's offense, right? In order to put yourself in a position to be able to actually compete for championships, play postseason ball, you have to protect the quarterback. You got to be able to score points, right? We think Linderbaum is a phenomenal player. And like I said before, there are people who think that he should have been in New York and been on the Heisman ballot. He's that good at what he does. There's the depth of this draft as it pertains to defensive talent. You got 2 more first-round picks as well. If you're compelled to draft Linderbaum here, assuming he's starting, you're not drafting an offensive lineman to sit. He's going to be starting. I don't hate it. You still got to address that defensive side of the ball. You probably need to use these 2 other picks to do that. But we've talked about it before. We've in a couple of your mock drafts, you've had Linderbaum kind of falling towards that 20+ range, and we don't anticipate that's actually what's going to happen here. So in this case, Josh Edwards has the Eagles pulling the trigger at 14. The 15th overall pick, we have Malik Willis, quarterback from Liberty, going to the New Orleans Saints. And Drew, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this one. We've talked about it ad nauseum that the signal caller himself needs more options in the passing game, needs a true number 1. We don't know what's going to happen with Michael Thomas. There are all these really specialized guys that, yes, obviously play a role, can contribute, but we need an alpha, to kind of be that quintessential X receiver for this team, right? And instead they go quarterback, which also is a concern. So what do you think about Malik Willis here?
So the assumption here is that Jameis Winston is not coming back. That would be my assumption.
Got to be.
And if that's the case, then I understand the pick. I don't know why you would use this pick for quarterback when you have Jameis Winston, who I think is fine. I think the Saints would be, they would be challenging the Bucs maybe this last week for the division if they had him. You know what I'm saying? But they don't, right? We know what they look like when they don't have a quarterback playing quarterback for them. You know what I mean? So I get it. And Malik is definitely a talent. But listen, in my mind, the Saints are going to bring back Winston and they're going to draft a receiver. Plain and simple. There's no ifs and buts about it, because let's say we draft Willis here, right? Okay. What are we doing at the receiver position? Did we go in free agency? Are we going to scoop a bunch of guys in the second round? Because my assumption is Michael Thomas isn't coming back. Matter of fact, he's probably going to get traded, right? Because when's the last? How much football has he played in the last 2 years?
Right.
And let's not put a ceiling, okay? Because I know Sean Payton is a genius, and he's one of the best in terms of the league, in terms of scheming things up and all of that. But you're putting a ceiling on Willis by not supplying him with the receivers. I mean, it's Liberty all over again. Like, what are we talking about? Except, he's got a baller and Kamara behind him and a good offensive line. But let's see his potential. Let's see what that is. And you can't see that if you don't have the receivers around him to do that, right? So I don't. And have you ever known Peyton to get a guy who's a little bit, that can move around in the pocket and can make things happen? I'd like to see that. And I think we kind of saw that with Taysom. Just Taysom's not good at throwing the ball down the field, but
Yeah. I had been so dead set on find that alpha receiver, find that number 1 for this team. I had been so dead set on that, because of the fact that Sean Payton loves his Taysom Hill. They did the little contract extension thing that they've done. I know it's incentive laden, but certainly it still shows a certain level of confidence in this guy as a signal caller. So in my mindset, I'm like, well, you need to surround this guy with guys that can create a margin of error for your quarterback, whether it be Taysom, whether it be Jameis. Certainly doesn't appear that Ian Book is quite ready yet. You know what I'm saying? And I say that.
I didn't like the pick, by the way.
Yes, you did not like the pick. But of course, Ian Book didn't have nobody to throw to either when they set him out there to the animals, to the fins, to the fish. You know what I'm saying? So
Facts.
He was sleeping with the fishes. Anyway, but Malik Willis is such an intriguing talent here, man. It really depends on what they do with that quarterback room. You know, if Sean Payton has seen enough, and as far as I can tell, he hasn't. But if Sean Payton has seen enough, then I certainly understand it. Now they need to be really aggressive about addressing, those perimeter weapons. I think they really need to be aggressive about that still. But to your point, this guy has a lot of arm talent. He's a special athlete. He can create with his legs. He gives you kind of the best of both worlds as it pertains to Jameis and Taysom Hill. You understand what I'm saying? And again, this is a coordinator that obviously we give a lot, or I shouldn't say a coordinator. This is a play caller that we obviously have a lot of respect for. So we imagine you put them in a good position. But to your point, and certainly my sensibilities suggest that if you like your quarterback room currently, or even there may be a scenario where they jump into the veteran quarterback, frenzy as well as it pertains to Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? You can't necessarily rule that out either. You need to make sure that you have the perimeter weapons in check as well. At the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see though. This is the first time I've seen Malik Willis, or any quarterback for that matter to this point, to going to the Saints here, and it really got my wheels kind of turning. It really got my wheels kind of turning. I could see a scenario, where Sean Payton goes completely left. I don't anticipate it, but I don't know that it's as far-fetched as we may have thought, just a few days ago or several weeks ago.
Well, I'm gonna say this, bro, because I know you said you had it got your wheels turning. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna cut you off in traffic, and you're gonna slam on your brakes and spill the coffee, bro. Okay.
All right.
Because this is why I say that Jameis isn't going anywhere.
Okay.
And it's been like this for the past couple of years. Their cap is awful. It's awful. So to me, and James is coming off of injury. Who's going to touch him? But the team that he's already with.
That's a good point.
So let's go ahead and bring you back. Let's go ahead and put you on this team-friendly deal. Make it incentive laden. You hit these numbers, you good, right? You get paid.
Sure.
And we're gonna get you a guy. We're gonna get you a guy that you can throw the ball to. You know what I'm saying? It's just different thought process.
No, and it certainly makes sense. I think from a defensive standpoint, this is a win now team. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you may not necessarily want to dabble in the rookie quarterback market, and I think Sean Payton is one of those guys who would rather see his young quarterback develop. He doesn't necessarily want to throw him out there. I don't know of any time, because of course it's always been Drew Brees, where Sean Payton was necessarily outside of Romo, and at that point Romo had some time to develop before he became the starter in Dallas. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We're at the midway point of Josh Edwards' mock draft, and we have the Baltimore Ravens with the 16th overall selection, selecting Kenyon Green, offensive lineman from Texas A&M. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's some corners on this board. We know what Baltimore likes to do defensively. Zero blitz, a lot of man coverage. There's some guys that can obviously foot the bill here, but they absolutely have to address their offensive line. It was once a position group of strength. It has now since deteriorated. We've seen something very similar in Pittsburgh. They haven't been the same since Marshall Yonder retired a season ago. They have not been the same up front. I think Kenyon Green goes a long way in helping them make that a position group of strength, and of course, improving their offense.
Yeah, man. I thought you were gonna be smiling, bro. I thought you'd be grinning, bro. Like, yeah.
I like it, man.
Okay. Yeah. Because Green is a guy who's played all over the offensive line. Is a guy, and again, I talked about it earlier. Versatility. When you grab a guy, especially in the trenches, you grab a guy has versatility, and he can help you to put the best, in this case, 5 out there. Right. You don't have to square peg round hole anybody like they did this past year with Villanueva. Terrible. And the way they run their offense, they offenses, they got to have it, bro. If they don't have it, it looks like what it looked like. You know what I'm saying? Sure. What it's been looking like, excuse me. You know what I'm saying? So I completely understand it. I'm with it. From the GM of Baltimore, that's probably what I do. And I like this pick specifically because it's versatile and Green he's a baller.
Yeah.
Plain as a
17th overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, I mentioned Pittsburgh and their offensive line. Charles Cross, offensive tackle from Mississippi State, just falls in their lap. You know, they're I've seen him basically everywhere in mocks to this point, right? I've seen him in the 20s, I've seen him in the teens, and I've seen him probably most frequently in the top 10. He's that kind of potential. He has that kind of top 10 caliber talent. This to me, again, it's one of those situations where, okay, clearly Roethlisberger is cooked as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what any Steeler fan has to say. They talked about it. We talked about it, in terms of our storylines going into the season. I said they got a problem at quarterback. They don't necessarily have a plan behind him. If you're going Charles Cross here, that means you've addressed your quarterback via free agency. That has to be the case unless you're getting really, really aggressive about getting back into the first round in order to get one of these quarterbacks, one of four maybe. I think, and it could be a situation where somebody falls to the second round potentially, but generally you don't want to take chances with your quarterback position, right? So as much as they need to address the offensive line, they have perhaps an equally, if not more, pressing need at quarterback. I can't get mad at the fact that you're addressing your offensive line, though. They really let that go by the wayside. You know what I'm saying? Over the years, right. I don't know if you've seen what Najee Harris has been running behind. It's been bad.
Trash.
So certainly Charles Cross goes a long way in addressing that particular position group. Your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. You took everything. I mean, listen.
Not bad, bro. Not bad.
It's all good. It's an assumption of they are going to address the quarterback position either in free agency or, like you said, trade back up or somebody
trade, whatever the case may be.
Sam Howell, something like that. Yep. But outside of that, I mean, you can't go any. There's for this specific team, there's nowhere else to go. It's either offensive line or quarterback. Yeah. Depending on what they do in free agency is what kind of can tell you what they're going to do come the draft. So I like the pick. I'm fine with it. They were trash going into the season. They're trash right now during the season, and we need to fix it immediately. Like you said, Ben is cooked. Ben is when you cook something too long, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's not good, bro. Like you eat it, you're not happy, bro. You're like, damn, I messed up. If I'd have took it out 2 minutes earlier, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Or had the heat just too high, just a little too long.
It's burnt. It's not just
Cajun,
left it too long, bro. It's burnt, bro.
And don't call it Cajun, bro. Trying to sweeten it. Don't call it Cajun. No, that bit burnt, and it ain't coming back, bro. No salt, no scraping.
Nothing to resuscitate it. There's nothing that's gonna resuscitate it.
It's a wrap, bro. Throw it in the trash.
With the 18th overall pick, the Las Vegas Raiders are selecting receiver Drake London from USC. And during your latest mock draft, you had Jahan Dotson in this particular slot. Obviously, the need certainly is there. Drake London, by your estimation, is a first-round caliber player as well. You have him coming off the board a little bit later. But what do you think about this pick instead of perhaps a Jahan Dotson or Treylon Burks for that matter?
I'm not mad at the pick because I like what London brings to the table in terms of his skill set, ability to go up and get the football, his catch radius. There's a lot that he can offer to this football team because obviously we know they lost their receiver. We know all about that, and they got to replace that, and they haven't been the same since. I don't know what their offense is going to look like. I don't know if they're going to stay with what they have currently or if they're going to make some adjustments come the offseason. Is Carr still going to be there? I would assume he is. So this is a playoff team that essentially, just they're lacking that receiver. And if the offense stays as is, it's got to be a guy with speed, though. That's what I'm going to say. And London, I don't know if he has great acceleration after the catch, not necessarily, just gonna
blowing the top off the defense.
Right. Basically. Yeah. Right. This is a Jameson Williams or a Dotson. I would prefer in
this particular slot here. I got you. Yeah. They're running Zay Jones out there as a field stretcher right now. And don't get me wrong. I think Zay Jones is a solid, fourth option in your passing game, perhaps third option, but certainly not the guy that I'm anticipating that's going to be, backing your safeties off. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So Moving right along with the 19th overall pick, Drew, you were concerned about the Eagles' defense. Mr. Edwards takes care of that concern here with Nakobe Dean, linebacker from Georgia.
I'm fine with the pick. In my mock, go check it out. I had a different linebacker going there. With one of their picks, I should say. I think he actually went with the third pick, but I'm good with the pick, bro. They got one of the worst second level defenses in the league. They need to fix it. Offense to me is fine, and they need to fix their defense at all levels. Just run down the line.
Best player available. Best player available.
First, let's go get it and run it. And here we are. I'm fine with it.
All right, and the next pick is actually a pick that I believe you had in your November mock. That's Jordan Davis, the big defensive tackle, nose tackle out of Georgia, going to the Los Angeles Chargers. We've talked about it. The Chargers run defense. It's a run funnel defense, but you can't be getting gashed by Rex Burkhead, man. I'm sorry, bro. I get it. I get run funnel. I get that you want to keep everything in front of you, and you're going to give up some yardage on the ground, but you cannot give up $150 to Rex Burkhead, and the idea behind this is that you drop Jordan Davis in there, albeit, an incredible 2-down player and really give yourself an opportunity to get those pass rushers up the field on third down and really take advantage of your pass defense at that juncture.
Yeah, man, he's a bull in the China shop. It's a defense that is marshmallowy up the middle. Spell it down in the comment section, marshmallowy. And they got to fix that because, in terms of the offense, it's a very talented offense on paper. They don't always perform like you think they should. Yes. And then defensively, it's almost damn near the same thing, except they can't stop the run. Well, here's a player that you insert and it should stop the run. That's what Jordan Davis is going to be there for, to free up the other guys to just do what they do. If you're CPGM juice, you take them off the field on third down or obvious passing downs, and you put in your NASCAR package, whatever that looks like.
Yep. Whatever it looks like.
All
right. We got the Philadelphia Eagles back on the clock with the 21st overall pick, and Mr. Edwards has them selecting Drake Jackson from USC. Your thoughts on that particular pick? Again, we're talking about kind of that linebacker edge rusher hybrid there.
Yeah. So let me just say this. So we always talk about teams that do players a disservice. It's usually in the Big 12. Pac-12 is they do that too, and I think they did that with him here. I think, can he play linebacker? Absolutely. I think he can. I think that needs to be no more than about 30% of his snaps. I think this is a guy who needs to be rushing the passer. It's a guy you can move around, Lego pieces, play games with him. I like the pick for the Eagles, but please let this man rush. Don't play games. Don't do that because you're doing him a disservice.
They're going to have to. I think, Derek Barnett, I believe his contract is about to expire here. My guy, Brandon Graham, he can't play forever, coming off the injury. You know what I'm saying? He's struggled to stay healthy here over the last couple of seasons. So, yeah, I think they're drafting him to rush the passer. To your point, if they're getting multiple, you might see him drop back, whatever the case may be from time to time, set that physical edge. But certainly they're drafting him to affect the passer. Next up, we have the Dolphins with the 22nd pick, and selecting Trevor Penning, offensive lineman from Northern Iowa. Drew, tell me about Trevor Penning.
So listen, first of all, it doesn't matter what offensive lineman that the Dolphins select. They got to select the offensive lineman, period, right? It's a guy coming from a smaller school, obviously. The man has good feet. He's usually the first person out of his set.
Yep.
And, strong, physical, he hasn't played the position long. And listen, when you haven't played a position long, what does that mean? Your technique is off, right?
Yes.
And to me, if you have a good offensive line coach and you feel like, hey, we can fix X, Y, Z, everything else will fall into place, right? And I don't know that they can get any worse than what they've got what we saw this past season. So insert and let's go play.
In terms of reacting to this mock draft, I think Josh Edwards certainly gets it right in terms of the position here with Miami. You mentioned it; they have struggled mightily in terms of allowing the opposition to affect their passer, and at times they haven't necessarily been able to get anything on the ground. Now, more recently, they've been able to get some things done. My boy Duke Johnson, throw up to you real quick for y'all. Had to get it in there.
Man, live on the back of a milk carton, bro.
Listen, Duke came off the street and was balling for him. You know what I mean? So, I had to respect Duke there, but certainly they have been among the worst that group collectively has been among the worst. And I'll mention another U player because I've said it before and I'll say it again. That team was better with Eric Flowers playing guard for them. They wanted to move Robert Hunt back inside. I certainly understand that. That's where that's his true position. But a year ago, they were getting more out of Eric Flowers and Solomon Kinley, to be honest with you. So yes, they have some work to do. And what we saw from Austin Jackson this past preseason just continued to happen throughout the regular season, man. Like it was bad, man. Yeah. It was really bad. So yes, absolutely. So Dolphins desperately need to improve their offensive line with the 23rd overall pick, your boy. All right. And I think you'll love this particular landing spot. So I think the player and the landing spot are perhaps ideal. We have Chris Olave, receiver from Ohio State, landing in New England.
Yeah, I don't know the artist that sung the song, but Smooth Operator. You know about that Smooth Operator?
Sade, bro.
Okay, all right, bro. Sade. Can you see it? Can you see it?
I can't see it. I can't see it. Did you say Sade? Let me see.
Yeah, I wrote it down. That's what I wrote down.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I know a little music, not much, but low. But this is Smooth Operator, and we talked about it in the past drive. And this is one of those things where I thought New England maybe they kind of figured out the receiving core in terms of Bourne and Aguilar and the two tight ends that they have, and they figured, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And you have a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, who I think everybody understands he's gonna be good, right? But again, we talk about it. You got to protect them, which they do. They run the football, but you got to. The game is about the forward pass.
Yes.
And if you can't get separation, or when you do get separation, you can't catch the football. Like, I can't make the calls at the line, snap the ball or have the ball snapped to me, throw it, and then go catch it. Like, I need help. You know what I'm saying? I'm a traditional drop back quarterback. I need help. Olave, coming from wide receiver U, yeah, he just the guy. Whether it's Wilson, Olave, it don't matter at this point, right? Dotson, it doesn't matter, right? They just need help. They need reliability, and they don't have that right now. It's like Mac Jones out there playing by himself, bro. Like, hoping these cats will catch football, hoping he get a guy open. You got to scheme. You shouldn't have to scheme everything open. Sometimes it's your guy has to beat their guy. Yes. Damn, bro. Like, can we get that? Can they do that?
Yes, and when that is occurring, and obviously New England's not the only team that suffers from that, but when you have to scheme your receivers open on a consistent basis, that becomes a problem. I think New England, to your point, they have guys that are specialty guys, right? Right. And I don't mean special teams. I'm talking about you have Bourne, who's more of a field stretcher than anything else, right? I think he's very good at it. I think he makes plays down the field. I think he tracks the ball well. I think he has good body control. He's even a little bit more effective in the red zone than I think most people give him credit for. You know, Jacoby Myers is a solid receiver. You know what I'm saying? Generally catches the football. Will show you his numbers. Possession guy. You know, the whole N'Keal Harry thing hasn't worked out. I thought at times you could see him go climb the ladder. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing that he does very well. But it just hasn't worked out. You know what I mean? He's been perhaps their best, blocker. You know, I mean, to be honest with you. But he's kind of stuck with it. So I can commend him for that. And then you have the two tight ends, but you don't have a guy like you said that's going to consistently beat man-to-man coverage. That is the name of the game. In order to be the lead dog in an NFL offense in terms of being on the perimeter, you have to be able to consistently beat man-to-man coverage. And Olave does that. Now, the benefit of Olave landing in New England is, of course, you got Josh McDaniels' offense. It's a little bit more involved, a little bit more nuanced. You understand what I'm saying? You want that quintessential route runner. That doesn't say that Olave can't stack defenders, but certainly he, to me, is the most polished receiver that I've studied thus far in terms of his route running. You know, what happens before the ball is in the air. And that allows you to get open. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's about getting open and being consistent in terms of bringing the football in. To your point, Wilson, Burks, Dotson, any of those guys land in New England, it's great. But Olave seems to be, in my opinion, kind of a unique fit there. That the other guys don't quite have that same kind of, you know what I'm saying? A hand in a glove when it's perfect. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that would be a true match. Moving right along, we have the 24th overall pick, and the Arizona Cardinals are selecting cornerback Trent McDuffie out of Washington. And I think we both agree that the position here is appropriate. What do you think about the player?
He's an outstanding run defender.
Yes,
and he's a guy who, to me, I think he probably plays his best football, looks most comfortable in zone coverage. And listen, if you play for that team, you got to be able to tackle. And they got plenty of corners who's willing to come up and lay wood. This guy is. I like the fit. And I think I want to say, and hit me down in the comment section if I'm wrong, I think he's had a couple of injuries and he's missed, I think, a good amount of games, if I'm not mistaken. So that may be something we need to fact check, if you will. But I'm okay with it. I mean, there's some of the corners out there, but hey, I ain't mad at it.
Not mad at it either. Yeah, his run support jumps off the page. like you start thinking safety. Just how tenacious he is, and then I'm not taking anything away from it in terms of his coverage. It's just how much he gets after it in terms of run defending. With the next pick, Josh Edwards has the Buffalo Bills selecting Kaiir Elam, and I think this is a great pick for the Bills. Obviously, I think there is a certainly a need along the offensive line. I think they can stand to improve there. But you got Levi Wallace, who I believe his contract is up. Mm-hmm. White's coming off the injury. They locked up their nickel, but you got to have at least three. And in this day and age, you need 4 or 5. You need to be a good 4 or 5 deep in order to make this happen. I think Elam landing here is house money. We might go in a different direction with another corner that is yet to come off the board here, but I think it's house money considering his skill set.
Yeah, they Buffalo's actually playing a little bit more man coverage than normal. You know what I'm saying? Normally, the 2 coaches they got over the D coordinator and head coach, you would think zone, but no, they're actually running a little bit more man. They just don't move the corners around, which who cares?
Sure.
And when I thought about it, I was thinking about the corners. If you're saying Levi Wallace is out, then I love this. If he's not out, I don't understand it. Right? I think it's not a wasted pick, but it's just like, okay, everybody can't be on the field. So you're running dime packages now. That's what you're doing, because that nickel corner ain't coming off the field because that's a baller. It was that Teron. Is it Teron Johnson?
Yeah, it's Teron Johnson. That's Teron.
I'm thinking. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
I think Levi might be walking.
But if you're gonna play a bunch of zone, though, I don't know that this
that's
is
not the guy.
That's not the guy. You don't want to do that. Not that he can't play. It's just that you're not playing him at his max potential. Playing a bunch of man, absolutely. He's physical. He's about that life.
All right. Next pick, 26 overall. Going back to the cornerback our guy, Andrew Booth from Clemson, going to that Bengals team that you really like.
Yeah, and I know, and I meant to check their contracts because I think they got a bunch of guys on 1-year deals, if I'm not mistaken. Hit me down in the comment section, fact check. But for this team, and we talked about in the previous mock, it's just they're loaded on offense. Maybe you could have gone offensive line. If they're comfortable, they're good with that, then listen, defense, just go best player available, because defense is, I mean, I don't think it matters what they choose on defense if that's the route they go in terms of the draft. They may even trade down, so who knows? But I like what the Bengals are doing, period. And Booth, I mean, he's, hey man, I'm not gonna say nothing about Booth because I want you to go check out the previous mock. Where did he go? What corner was he? Was he 2, 3? You know what I'm saying? 4? Where was he?
All right, a little tease. I hear you. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you here. I actually like this pick. If I'm going in a different direction, it's going to definitely be the offensive line. You know what I'm saying? You got the marriage with Jamar Chase. Of course, that was a big debate between Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase. You did the right thing in terms of your quarterback. That's what your quarterback wanted. Obviously, that connection. They just brought it over from Baton Rouge, and it's paid dividends. There's no question about that. Can't argue with that. But Joe Burrow also is sacked a lot. Yeah. He is the most sacked quarterback. So, in an effort to continue to keep him upright and allow those playmakers, the Higgins, the Boyds, the Chases of the world to make plays, and certainly continue to give opportunities to Joe Mixon in that backfield, I think they do need to address the offensive line. But certainly, if you don't go in that direction, you want to have a player that can affect the opposition's passer. Mm-hmm. So whether it's getting after the quarterback or whether it's defending those receivers in the secondary, right? So and then of course a guy with like Andrew Booth with those type of ball skills, you can turn defense into offense real quick. Steal your possession and get it back to that explosive offense. With the 27th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys are on the board, and they are selecting DeMarvin Leal of Texas A&M. Basically, your Swiss Army knife along the defensive line here. Dallas has struggled in terms of their interior pass rush for as long as I can remember. Maybe Jay Ratliff. I'm trying to think, was there anybody since then that actually was someone that you had to game plan for Dallas in terms of the interior pass rush. It's escaping me if there were
McCoy,
anybody.
Bro.
Who?
Gerald McCoy.
Oh, come on.
You know?
Why would you even say something like that? I know.
I like Gerald McCoy.
I know you like Gerald McCoy. You know, unfortunately, Gerald McCoy is not very good. That's all. That's all I have to say. He wasn't very good. That's all. But anyway, let's talk about this DeMarvin Leal pick here in Dallas. And what do you think about Josh Edwards, his choice of Leal here?
Yeah, I'm not mad at it because, again, when we talk about drafting in the trenches, you're going to draft a versatile player who can play inside, can play outside. He's, and this is my assumption. I'm doing a lot of assuming. Say not to assume, but I'm going to do that. Just assuming they bring everybody back in terms of that D-line, will Randy Gregory come back, all that stuff, and just got that rotation. And they can do different things. Then you throw in Micah Parsons in that thing. So it's like, where is it coming from? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Who do we double? You know what I'm saying? Who do we chip? You know what I mean? It just adds more pressure. I know it should probably do something in terms of the back end behind them, but it just gives more versatility for Dan Quinn over there, and in terms of that front four, that front seven, man, it gets real sexy with Leal and that.
I'm anticipating, Tristan Hill will be on the outs. You know what I'm saying? You got to have that rotation. You got to replenish, right? And then, of course, they dealt with injuries this year, quite a few, and it really tested their depth. And DeMarvin, he can make plays from any alignment, whether it be 3 technique, 5 technique, a wide 9, whatever the case may be, he can do it. Whatever you ask of him, he can get it done. So certainly makes a lot of sense with this particular selection here. And then, of course, that's the name of the game defensively, is affecting the passer. You know what I'm saying? You got to control the line of scrimmage. Now, I see you have your Super Bowl champions beanie on Tampa Bay Bucks, and with the 28th overall pick, Josh Edwards has the Bucks selecting your guy. This is your guy. Jahan Dotson. What do you think about a selection at receiver here? What do you think?
I'm not mad at it. I love the pick, and this. I hope he falls this far. But when you look at the Bucks receiving core, obviously AB's not coming back with the shenanigans that happened in New York, and I'm not sure if he was ever going to come back because he was on a 1-year kind of prove-it deal. But my assumption is Mike Evans isn't going anywhere, right? Chris Godwin, who's on the franchise tag, will come back. He's going to get paid. That's just the way it is. But they need another guy, and they don't have that other guy right now. I know Grayson was out there balling, and Tyler Johnson just hasn't. He can't separate, and at times he will let you down, dropping passes, touchdown passes, right? Hasn't really busted great. And then you have Scotty Miller, who is kind of a one-trick pony. Bruce Arians kind of wants him to be able to go inside, make catches, but guy's 5'10". You know what I'm saying? That's not his shtick.
Not built that way,
right?
You're not built that way.
You got to have a guy. No, he's not built that way, and I don't expect it. I mean, I know Bruce Arians is trying to tell him, hey, this is what we need you to do, but that ain't it, right? So you implement a guy who can play the AB role in a Dotson, right? And a guy who teams will have to worry about. Now you've kind of turned this thing and said, okay, we lose an AB, but we insert a talent that's similar in skill set and a guy who can actually play above the rim. I don't think the AB, that's not his game to play above the rim, but Dotson can at the size that he has, and he has the speed. You know what I'm saying? So it's a guy you have to respect, and it's a guy that, I think the Bucks thought Darden, who they drafted last year from North Texas, could be just not. There's something missing there. Something I don't know, I'm not sure what it is, but let's run it back. Let's run it back. Let's get a guy with similar AB skill set with ability to go over the top, man. Let's get it.
Assuming Tom Brady's back, I'm okay with the pick. Nothing against the player. I think Jahan Dotson's an excellent receiver. I actually expect him to come off the board a little bit sooner. But assuming Brady's coming back, the mindset has to be, and generally this is the mindset you want to have. But certainly when you have Tom Brady, who will be 45 this time next year, right, we're going for the gusto, right? We're going for the gusto. It's Super Bowl or bust. That is what we're doing. It's Super Bowl or bust. So you stuff this roster with as much firepower as possible. You understand what I'm saying? And then you address some of your other needs via free agency,
right? Some
veterans here or there, some of your latter, and ultimately you hope to hit on some of your latter picks. So I certainly understand that. However, if Brady were not to come back here, I think you have to start preparing for what eventually will happen. The Bucks did something pretty much that's unheard of in this free agency era, which is return all 22 starters, right? That's just not going to be the case moving forward. It's not going to be the case. Guys are going to start getting paid here. So you got to start preparing for that eventuality. You got to have that next group of starters already seasoned, particularly when you're talking about a coach like Bruce Arians, who doesn't necessarily want to trust younger players. He doesn't want to trust rookies. Sure. You understand what I'm saying? So, I like a guy in particular, Roger McCreary. I think, especially considering all the injuries that you experienced this year and the drop off from your top few corners versus, the rest of that depth, I think that's an area that needs to be addressed as well. But certainly I understand the pick because, of course, I love the talent. You are losing Antonio Brown here, and of course, whatever Brady wants, really, at the end of the day. At the end of the day, and I personally don't expect Dotson to be here. Assuming he tests well, I don't expect him to be available this late, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, with the 29th overall pick, our good friend Josh Edwards. Mind you, we've never met Josh Edwards, but Josh Edwards is a NFL draft writer for CBS Sports. He has the Kansas City Chiefs selecting David Ojabo, the edge from Michigan. And I certainly like this pick because, of course, the Chiefs need to continue to improve their defense. I know you have a thought process in terms of them trying to find that other receiver outside of Tyreek Hill. I don't think that's something that needs to be prioritized, to be honest with you. I think if you look at Andy Reid's track record, he's targeting his number one receiver, his tight end, and the back out of the backfield. That is generally where the targets go. That's who usurps the targets. I think in spots, I expected a little bit more from Demarcus Robinson. I think Byron Pringle actually has played really well. I think he's actually played really well. So if I want to add some talent to that receiver room, I'll probably do so on day 2, day 3. Since you've gotten your offensive line situated, right? You made it a point to get that done this past offseason. I want to bolster my pass rush. I want to bolster the guys in the secondary. I actually like the young players they have at the second level now.
Yeah, I do too. And when I saw this pick, my first thing I thought was, first of all, I love the player. But when I think about the Chiefs, for me, Sorensen sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yes, he does.
And I think Brisker from Penn State would be a good fit. If you can affect up front, doesn't really matter what's going on in the back end outside of a busted coverage with a guy running wide open.
Which in this most recent contest with Cincinnati, Sorensen busted the coverage. The saying.
The front four couldn't get there fast enough, right? It was that bad, right? Is that egregious? I mean, listen, I love the player. This is the guy for me who has a plan every play. Lance Zierlein tweeted, had a little video of him getting around the edge against Georgia. And he said problems. Hashtag David Ojabo. And you just see him just getting around the corner. I mean, he hit the man with about 2 moves. In, out, good, gone, spin. I'm there. Damian Woody said, this is the twitchiness I love. I said, it's the plan for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he came with a plan, got him. And listen, the Chiefs it's either front four or it's
back four.
A guy in the secondary, right?
Yep. Pick
one, right? And they went with front four. Fine
Which
with it.
Certainly makes sense. Absolutely. With the 30th overall pick, the Detroit Lions making the second of their 2 first-round selections. We have Treylon Burks falling all the way to 30th. I mean, obviously, if Detroit is able to land Treylon Burks at this juncture, I think that's a home run. The Lions certainly have something in Amon-Ra St. Brown. He certainly shouldn't have lasted on the board as long as he did last year. That was an absolute steal. You could see his confidence just growing at an immense rate right now. So certainly he is part of this turnaround, right? Of this rebuild, of making Detroit legitimate. You know what I'm saying? No longer being a laughingstock, making it legitimate. I still think they need that physically dominant receiver on the perimeter here to really give whomever is going to be quarterback in this team a chance to be successful week in and week out, right? So certainly, if Burks is on the board at this juncture, I think it's a no-brainer. But I don't anticipate him being on the board this late.
Nah, I don't think so. And by the way, Green Bay, y'all need to trade up in front of them boys. Pick something, do something. Because no, absolutely not. But anyways, that'll be a tough trade because they within the division. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. But anyways, yeah, man. This is a guy who can play all the receiver positions. This is a guy who makes plays after the catch, a big body, catch radius, speed, not easy to bring down, and a guy who the Arkansas Razorbacks did a bunch of different reverses and end arounds, and it's a guy you want to get touches, right? So he can make plays because there's a couple teams in the league that just lack playmakers, guys who like, damn, we got to worry about that guy. Like we can't just be one guy on him. You know what I'm saying? As soon as he touches the ball, all heads need to turn and head to that guy because he's dangerous. He can make, an 8-yard route turn into the 40-yard touchdown. You know what I'm saying? So they lack that on that team, and he brings that in spades. And, like you said, whoever's the quarterback, they need that guy on that team. And, I like the fit for the Detroit Lions.
All right. With the 31st overall pick, Josh Edwards of CBS Sports has the Tennessee Titans selecting Kingsley Enagbare from South Carolina, the edge rusher. All right. Now, this is one of those situations where the Titans, it hasn't been for a lack of trying. The Titans have tried to figure out how are we going to get this consistent pass rush. Certainly, Harold Landry, early in the season, I thought the light bulb had went off. He's kind of tapered off a little bit, but certainly, I think he's part of the solution. Bud Dupree gets the big contract, but hadn't been healthy. I think you just need to give that some time, to be honest with you. But in that same vein, I'm not against the idea of adding a pass rusher. I'm just simply not, because you always need those guys. The only other area, or rather, I shouldn't say the only other area, the other area that I would like to prioritize is this offensive line as well. They can still get after it in terms of the running game, but I think attrition, I think contracts, I think all of those things are something that they need to be prepared for moving forward. I don't have an issue with the pick. Like I said, it's best to have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to pass rushers, but there's any number of different things the Titans can do with this particular pick. What do you think?
Yeah, and this is one of those teams I'm not sure what they'll do, and it all depends on what they do this offseason, who's there, who's not there. Obviously,
yep.
Offensive line would be one I would be have my eyebrow up about in terms of them picking, and I check the mock in terms of what I had them pick in the previous mock. I don't know that Kingsley will go this high. To be honest with you, just watching the tape, and this is one of those players that played both linebacker and edge. What is he? You know what I mean? I think he's an edge player, but I think he's a guy who is maybe a situational pass rusher right now. A guy who's, just if that's what you're telling him to do, then he's going to be situational, because I don't know that he's that great in the run game in terms of, taking on double teams, being able to hold up at the point of attack for me. Does he win? Yeah, sometimes he'll win, but for me, it's just not enough, right? And in terms of linebacker, I think he plays space well, but I don't know that you want him running around covering tight ends and receivers and stuff. I think you're doing him a disservice. So I think this is a little high for him. I think he'll go maybe bottom of the second round. You know what I'm saying? And again, it depends on what he does in at the combine, obviously, and pro day and all those things. So we'll see. I don't. Not a fan, man. Not a fan. What about my guy Kennard from Kentucky, man?
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think Georgia has some defenders that could do some of the same things that they're asking of Enagbare here as well. So I certainly understand what you're saying. I'm looking at it through the prism of the position. I think that certainly makes sense. Harold Landry is going to be a free agent, or his contract will expire. Bud Dupree, again, he signed the big deal, but depending on how things go over the next season, they may be looking to get out of that particular deal. So there's some question marks there. So maybe not necessarily the player, maybe not just necessarily in love with the player here at this particular junction, right? In Josh Edwards' 2022 NFL mock draft, he has the Green Bay Packers selecting George Pickens, receiver from Georgia. Obviously a very talented young player, but has dealt with a lot of injuries, dealt with some off the field type stuff. We've been looking for a receiver, to make it a priority to add perimeter help to this Green Bay offense for quite some time. Mr. Edwards, he does it here in his mock draft. However, I'm not sure that this is the player I would take, and I think Pickens certainly will be available later in the draft. I don't particularly like it from a value perspective.
Yeah, he's missed a lot of football unless he blows up the combine pro day.
Sure.
I don't think that'll be the case. But the talent, bro, like I don't know if there's anything he can't do. Let me say that, right? But can he stay on the field, bro? Like, what's the word, the analogy they use?
Availability.
best
Availability is the best
ability
ability.
is yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you ain't got it, then there's no reason to like I can't. What do you want me to do, right? You're leaving us out to dry. So, in my mock, I did go a receiver for Green Bay. It was a different receiver. Check out the previous mock, and you'll see who that guy is and why I chose him. But listen, there's nothing that Pickens can't do. I'm not mad at the talent because is Devontae Adams going to be there? Is he leaving? Is he staying? Are they going to franchise him? If Aaron Rodgers is out and either he's going to retire in terms of Aaron Rodgers is going to retire or just be out and go elsewhere, he's got to have weapons. And if whether Adams is there or not, to me, he's got to have another guy, bro. We gotta stop the talent and a guy that that can get open.
Sure.
Because even at times when Adams was covered and everyone else wasn't open, Rodgers would do his little thing, step to the right, step to the left, prolong a play, or hot route, and be able to get it to a guy because he knows what's coming versus Jordan Love, who doesn't know what's coming and is going to need a guy to beat his guy, right?
Yeah.
So if he goes out there and he blows up the combine, and this is the pick that went off the board or off the board, my assumption is we assume this guy is going to be healthy, and because the talent is in terms of talent, he's even with everyone else.
And perhaps that's why you roll the dice here. Perhaps that's why you leverage the fifth-year option.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? By the time you get to the 32nd pick, the amount of guaranteed money, although the entirety of the contract is guaranteed, it's a stark difference between the first overall pick and the 32nd pick. So perhaps that upside is so tantalizing that you risk it, but you do so, and the benefit is that you get that fifth year to play with as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, that's going to do it. That's going to do it for our 2022 NFL mock draft reaction from Josh Edwards, NFL draft writer for CBS Sports. Guys, I'm going to leave a link in the description to that post so you can check it out for yourself. Follow him on Twitter. I think he's a quality follow. Again, there'll be a lot more of these. If there are any in particular that you'd like us to react on, let us know in the comments. Be sure to check out our New Year's mock, the New Year's edition, Drew's latest mock that came out several days ago. Again, for Drew, this is Juice signing off.